Good morning, everyone. This is Wednesday, October 29th, 2014. Universal Mind Radio, in conjunction with Wolf Spirit Radio, would like to present to you 1 hour of Earth Mind Meditation by Frank Jordan. Frank is accompanied this morning by the Earth Mind Healers Group that has been working with him for several years. The focus of intent on today's show is to use Frank's subtle energy techniques to release and ease the stress of Mother Earth from land, sea, climate, and man-made changes around the world. Frank is from Boise, Idaho, and has been an empathic intuitive for many years. He is also in direct contact with galactic beings who are guiding Earth's transition from the fourth to fifth dimensions. Stephen is a separate, higher consciousness of Frank that delivers information about the shift of consciousness from the third dimensional world of dominion into the fifth dimensional world of dimensional world of domination to the fifth dimensional world of dominion. He focuses frequencies of unconditional love into the world group mind that helps people do the necessary subtle energy clearing and DNA assemblage for ascension into dominion. Frank is also an active water, mineral, and missing persons dowser and healer. During his radio show on Sunday evening at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, Frank teaches the universal laws of physics, which is metaphysics. A discussion is held by Frank where Stephen talks about subjects of interest to members of the audience. During the second hour, Stephen tunes directly into the listening audience, where healing requests are made, guides and healers, and often gives insightful information about their situation. For further information on Frank Jordan, please visit his website at www.psytronics.com. That's psi-tronics.com. You are also invited to set up a one-on-one appointment with Frank by calling 208-344-9188. His email address is fljordan@cableone.net. Through his website, Frank also has several novels listed, dowsing tools as well as subtle energy lights, and much sought after Clearing the Way instruction book. Donations are always appreciated and can be made through the website of Wolf Spirit Radio, Psytronics, and Universal Mind Radio. Now, please enjoy your show.
Thank you, Joan. That was very well said. And welcome, everyone, to this late October day in the Northwest. At least the trees are turning. The weather definitely is shifting. The rain patterns are shifting. In regard to that, we have a strong Pacific flow forming up, a lot of moisture. And it's the high pressure zone to the south. It's set up over Arizona and Southern California is blocking that southern loop of the jet stream that we've been working with. So one of the intents we have this morning is to bring that loop further south. That big trough that's potentially out there that could bring incredible rain to California and the southern states. And so the other thing we'll look at this morning is the ongoing hang-up of the financial situation of establishing a new world reality in the financial structure that basically supports everything we do. None of us can get along without it. And so this is being reordered now as the shift continues. The other thing is we continue to get galactic energy coming in through the photon belt, which is inspiring us to lift our consciousness and to stimulate new DNA growth. And we also are being directed more strongly by the galactic flow. This is always here. It's always around us. That strong flow of intelligence and information and the frequencies that we simply run through our own system and with our desire and will, through our soul center, and dropping it into the 0 point of our hearts. With that energy, we become manifestors and co-creators. It was particularly impactful last Sunday evening in our Sunday show when, in our instructional period, we heard the galactics coming in, and it sounds like white noise, and it confuses some people because they just think it's radio static. But it isn't. It's a direct flow of information, frequency, energies that if you just open up to it, open your heart, your mind, and just energetically attune to it, it does exceptional things in your system. And that's what's been happening to this group, the Earth Mind Healers group, for the last couple of years now. And they're always with us. They're willing to help us. And what we have to learn is how to communicate with these higher ranges of energy. And they don't give us direct commands or tell us we have to do anything. They simply deliver the information internally to where we can rely on our intuition and our own need, actually. Our need is what stimulates the intuitive flow to come in. And as we respond to that, we learn. We learn how to deal with subtle energy. And subtle energy supports everything in the fields of consciousness, whether it's in physical form or etheric or simply information in the field. So we're growing, we're shifting, we're evolving. And the challenge right now is to move out of this third dimensional reality, which has held us for 26,000 years, and into the fourth dimension, which is simply a higher frequency range. And it's not like we go up to do that. We expand outward because it is already here. It surrounds us, and we have to learn. It's just like walking into a strange room with all kinds of furniture and tools and things in there that you can use to your benefit or to the benefit of others. But there's no light in that room, so you feel around and locate something that you think might be beneficial or something that bangs you in the knees, so you have to pay attention to it. And then you ask, always asking, always listening for information. And as you gain the information, a light appears that demonstrates not only what the tool is for or the information, but what you can do with it. And this is growth. This is growth of consciousness. And this is what's helping us to create the new fifth dimensional reality. The fourth dimension is the transition zone where we, like children, we have to learn how to play in this darkened room that's so full of wonderful things. And so, does anyone have any requests this morning of things we'd like to do in Earth Mind to help Mother Earth out today?
The island of Hawaii, one of the islands, has a large volcano that has erupted, and it's affecting the populations. And I think if we could lift some of the energy from that, it would be a benefit to the people and the land.
Yeah, that's been building up. We've noticed for some time as earthquakes in the island, and we'll certainly do that. Is there anything else, anyone?
Anything on the solar flares? There's been a lot of solar flare activity. It may have gotten a little lighter right now. I'm not quite sure, but if we could take a look at that too.
Okay, I checked on those this morning, and we have passed an opportunity for some pretty severe flares. And if you'll recall, last week we spent some time shielding Earth from those direct flows, and they did. They came and hit and bounced around through our golden grid in the Earth's aura, the atmospheric fields, and did not do material damage. There was some radio interruption, electromagnetic stuff, but it was sporadic and no big blackouts or anything. So we appreciate that. We want to send a big thank you to the sun for responding to our will and our intent to the Devic forces of the sun that do listen to us. They do respond. And that's the same way with working with the oceans and the weather patterns and everything else of nature. It's all a living consciousness. It's all an extension of ourselves. And as as need arises, if we express that need, and more importantly, if we pull together the need of all living things, everything containing DNA on Earth, if we pull together that need or that request, that desire, and formulate the will, then we have more power in influencing the devic forces of consciousness, because they are subjective. They are there to support the foundation of life and the nutrients of life. And so we can work with them, and we do. Are there any other questions? If not, we'll go right to the earthquake grid this morning and gather energy to reinforce our golden grid. And we notice also this morning that we're in moon void of course. Now, astrologically, that simply means that the moon is not having any direct influence. It's between the signs of the intensity of the signs, and this is a long one. This would last like 23 hours or something like that. So your entire day is going to feel like you're kind of spacey, zoned out, can't get focused. And this is also because not only the moon influence, but because we only have 3 exact influences coming from the other planets. Do you have any comment on this, Mike?
Just a moment there. Looking at astrological factors today, Mars is out of bounds in declination, which means it's, outside its normal range, maybe more powerful. It's also square Pluto, so we have, potentially more intensive, disruptive Mars and Pluto factors. And 2 planets retrograde, Neptune and Uranus. So, I think with the Mars out of bounds condition and the square, I think we could potentially look for conflicting, immovable forces to clash against each other, and with potentially, somewhat more unpredictable results.
So going underneath the dynamics of that, and the fact that the moon's not directing us in one way or another, what we have is the opportunity to examine things that are affecting us strongly, and to step back from the battle, so to speak, of the everyday reality and mastery, learning to master yourself, is to step back and listen. This is a good time to listen, to gather your information, to gather your skills, and to formulate a plan. And then as you move back out of void of course tomorrow, you can progress and be more directly powerful and more creative of your reality instead of being subjective to it. And go ahead.
I would also note that there's a minor stellium in the 7th and 8th houses, Libra and Scorpio. You have all within, say, 20 degrees or a little more. We have Saturn, Venus, the Sun, Mercury, and the North Node.
So that makes an intensity?
Stellium tends to concentrate energy, of those planets, and may be more of a catalyst for things to happen. The comment, see Venus, it says, you will attract external resources easily. And on Mercury in the 7th house, talking and sharing ideas with your partner will be important. You will learn much from your intimate relationships.
Okay, that's Another excellent opportunity, and void of course, is to feel each other, because with the decrease of external influences, we have the opportunity to resonate with each other without the influence of the planets and the systems. And in doing so, we can explore each other more thoroughly, come into better attunement and resonance and oneness with our mates or with other people. So this is a good time to be not only self-introspective and respective, but to be protective of yourself, because at times you can be vulnerable in these open fields. And so let's gather our forces, go into the earthquake grid and reinforce our golden grid and work on some earth problems. Now this is a deep meditation we go into, and there's a very definite pattern or path that we follow to do this. And this is also a teaching mode where you learn, as you tune into the various levels of your own consciousness, you learn how to listen to yourself and to communicate internally between yourselves, so you can again master your reality. You master your reality by mastering yourself. Self-mastery is a teaching, learning process, and there are very few masters in the world, not nearly enough, to teach this to people. So we have to follow our intuition and inner guidance, learning to listen. Take your awareness up into your forehead, and this is in your active reasoning zone, the frontal lobes of the brain, the desktop of your biocomputer. And that's where you've been all the time you've been listening. This is where we download information, process it, work it out, come to decisions and make choices. Now, what supports that? The consciousness that's operating there. Take a step further back and you're in the soul center. And this is your identity of self. This is the person, the being, the essence, the soul that is experiencing this earth plane at this time. Just in that step back state, you can observe your desktop and what's going on around you. And instead of just making choices off the frontal lobes, quick choices, you can accumulate information from even deeper sources and direction and guidance so you can make the right choice at all times. So just pause for a moment there and feel that inner self, the real you, your indwelling soul. And then reach outward to all the other souls, initially into the Earth Mind Healers group, because we are in communication attunement through our computers. Then extend out further through the Wolf Spirit Radio. And again, that's computer connections all the way around the world of people listening and learning. So feel this expansion of your soul consciousness. And it's just like reaching out to your brothers and sisters and touching them. And it's the realization that you are touching a like-minded group of people, and that by unifying their intent, this group of people have incredible power. Group mind consciousness is a powerful thing, and that's what we use as we do our work in Earth Mind and out in the social consciousnesses of the world. Now take a step further back to the area of the pineal gland, and you're in the psychic center. Now back in this level, you can directly communicate one-on-one with anyone on Earth. And we'll have some classes soon on how to do that. Now take a step further back, and as you do this, you notice the frontal lobe shut off. You don't have that active chatter in your mind or analyzing what I'm telling you. You become more receptive, more open in the subconscious mind, because this is your body chakra system listening. It's waiting for direction because it's subjective to the desire and will and intent of your higher mind. It's also in contact with your instinctive mind, which is in your low self and in earth mind. And this is how we access earth mind and everything of the past that is stored there in the Akashic records. We step all the way back. We feel that feeling of expansion. Now drop your awareness downward through the upper chakra system, your high self, down to the 0 point in your heart. This is the bridge between the low self and the high self. It's also the bridge between the past and the future. And in this moment of now, everything is a moment of now. The 0 point is listening, responding to standing waves of information formed from the past, and it's recreating in this moment of now and resonating that on into the future. Now, if you do not send down the request to the 0 point, which is literally our indwelling spirit, if there's no request or need, life just goes on in a mechanical form, holding the form. It's always need and desire and will and intent that alters the standing waves in the moment of now, that manifests everything in the future that experiences or includes change. So just touch into your spirit center now. This is that, feel that light in your heart. And know that this is the bridge between our conscious reality, our unconscious reality, and the subtle field of consciousness that really is the platform that all of this walks on. The subtle energy field is that deeper level of consciousness that is the God Force consciousness that sustains all things in form, allows all things to experience life in all ways possible. So those of you who like to pray and feel a response to prayer, this is what's happening. Your conscious mind realizes the need. You send the need or the request to the 0 point. It responds by resonating into the subtle energy field that holds all form, that manifests all thought. Every thought in our heads is manifested from this level. And everything is the creation of thought. Absolutely everything is a thought before it comes into form. So when you pray, it does no little good to pray outside of yourself to an outside force, because that force is actively within you. And as you learn to drop down into the 0 point and realize that your oversoul, the positive aspects of consciousness that resides above you in another set of chakras, that's the male polarity, is in direct resonance with the undersoul of the female polarity beneath your feet, and that's earth mind. So between the two, you have access to everything in the past, everything in the future, and in the moment of now, to the 0 point, you can alter anything in your own physical reality, or with group mind agreement of consciousness, such as we do in our group here. we can alter realities external to us. Now drop your awareness on down the spine to the root chakra. And this is the bridge on into the subtle energy field of the female polarity of earth mind. And everything of the past, everything that has ever happened is stored in earth mind through frequencies of energy in the crust of the earth. And this is the Akashic records. This is what supplies the instinctive consciousness that nurtures and supports all things who have will, personal will, but not necessarily the free will and consciousness that we humans have. So anytime you're getting promptings from your low self of an instinctive kind, it'll be survival instinctive promptings. And we won't get into survival now, but that encompasses everything that can be negative in the third dimensional reality. And we can change those things and clear them and release them from our biocomputer, because this is really the deep mainframe computer of our systems. Now with the awareness down in Earth Mind itself, take your awareness to Southern California, our point of beginning. And it's just imagine yourself. Just extend yourself. Imagine yourself in Southern California, in the desert, and let your awareness drop down into the earth itself and feel the myriad of small crustal plate interactions there in fault lines. These are in continual shift and motion in that area because of the colliding of the Pacific plate sliding upward along the San Andreas Fault, and even deeper forces that are thrusting under California to raise up the Sierra Nevada mountains. But feel the energy now, the building stress of the earth, and you'll feel it in your root chakra. It feels like a tone or a presence. Lift that tone, that frequency, because your intent is working directly with the Devic forces that create the earthquakes. Our intent is to lift off and take upper spines, excess energy away from the earthquakes so they will not be intense. We'll hold them under 4 or 4.5. Take those energies up your spine now, through the 0 point, out through your crown chakra, out into the ionosphere surrounding the earth, and just imagine a golden grid that we've created around the earth of this energy. And this energy is like a storehouse where we can draw energy from for work on earth that requires energy, or we can use it to protect the earth, just as we do when we're deflecting the solar flares or any other invasive force or energy from the galaxy. Just feel yourself draining that Southern California area down into Mexico. And it's almost like a hum of energy coming up through you. Now move your awareness northward to San Diego. And those of you in that area who live on the San Andreas Fault and even further north, this helps you to become aware of when earthquakes are building up, because your low self will prompt you with these frequencies building up, the stress building up, and the prompting comes into the primitive brain at the base of the brain, and you'll feel a pressure there, an intensity, and what it is, that's the Devic forces asking for help, because they don't want to cause destructive things. They want the motion, of course. We have to have the movement, but we can release these energies in a gentle flow of energy, almost like lubricating the plates. So feel that energy now, the primitive energy, come up to the base of the spine, and feel that pressure in your primitive brain, and learn to recognize that. So when you feel it, you can release energies and prevent destructive earthquakes in your area. And this relates to anyone who lives on an earthquake zone anywhere in the world. Move on northward now to set Los Angeles. This is, again, because of the collision zone there and lateral motion, there's a lot of fracturing, minor earthquakes occurring constantly in that region. Lift those upward. And listen to the tone. When you hear the tone reduce, relax, then you know you've done it. Now move northward along the San Andreas to San Francisco. You feel the deep anticipation, the expectancy of energy release in that area. Everyone in that area of this mid-California to Southern California lives in constant fear of earthquakes. And unfortunately, that adds to the energy and intensity of earthquakes, because the devils respond to that. They are subjective, so if you're living in fear, they'll give you something to fear. So lift the fear from that entire Southern California region, all the way from San Francisco to San Diego. Tune into the group mind fear of the people there. Lift that up and release it. Transmute it into beneficial energy. You can actually use this energy to do beneficial things like influencing the weather patterns. Now move your awareness all the way up to the Oregon line. Small earthquakes constantly there, because this is where the Pacific plate impacts the San Juan de Fuca plate that runs all the way up the Pacific coast and into Canada. And it's a subduction plate. So we lubricate that plate. And here you can feel it become a harmonious hum. The stress becomes a harmonious hum. It's continuing its work of lifting the mountains of the Cascades, but it's doing it smoothly. Now we take our awareness back eastward, California to the southern portion of the Rocky Mountains. They run all the way down to Las Vegas. The fault line runs all the way to Las Vegas of that subduction zone, even though the mountains don't start appearing until we get up into Utah. Move northward along that primary fault ridge to the Yellowstone and go into the caldera of the Yellowstone and release that deep primitive force of energetic consciousness. Feel it move up through your systems, out through your crown chakra. A tremendous flow of energy. And because we've done this many times, their forces there habitually continue to release energy from that supervolcano, eliminating the possibility that anything will happen in our lifetimes, and even extending this on into the future, so it will never happen in the lifetime of humans who inhabit the Northwest area. Now move northward to the Canadian line. Some minor activity in the Rocky Mountains. Now we come back to the Pacific Northwest and open up the ancient volcanoes there. And if you're feeling that area in the base of your brain that does respond to the earthquakes and the energy building up, you feel a relaxation there. That's how you know when you're done clearing an area. Now move northward along the Pacific coast to Alaska. South Central Alaska, major subduction zone, all the way up through Central Alaska. I'm looking at probably 100 minor earthquakes that have occurred there in the last week. Just tune into that entire region. Lubricate that zone. And we have lubricated this many times in the past. And so the Devic forces know what to do. And we've not experienced any large earthquakes in that region, except one did occur and it was necessary. Now move southwest along the Aleutian chain. Ongoing activity. Subduction energy releasing from the Aleutian Trench, raising the volcanoes, open all the volcanoes and drain that energy away, lubricating that subduction zone, all the way over to where it impacts Russia, then move southward along the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench to where it becomes the Japan Trench. And here again, subduction energy created the Japanese islands. So we lift the energy upward from that. And as we do this, we swirl it into a clockwise rotating cyclone to carry the radiation energy up into the golden grid, where it is transmuted into positive energy. Now we move southward all the way to the Philippines. Most of the activities in the southern Philippines today, we know this is suboceanic activity of underwater volcanoes opening up. We lift those upward. And we drop southward to Indonesia and then the Java Trench Crescent that runs for 1,000 miles all the way from New Guinea all the way up into Myanmar, Burma. Lift those energies. There's nothing major happening there today. We move eastward to New Guinea and out into the ocean where the islands of Solomon cluster of activity there, and on eastward to Samoa, then southward along the Tonga Trench, all the way to New Zealand. There is some activity in the ocean northeast of Auckland. We lift that up, lubricate that. This is volcanic stress under the ocean. We drop down into the main island of New Zealand, lifting any potential expression of energy there. Now we go eastward across the Pacific, southern Pacific to Argentina, South America. And there's quite a bit of activity inland on the Rocky Mountain Range. This is that deep subduction zone, lifting those mountains. We lift those energies, clear and release that through the ancient volcanoes. All the way up into Peru. Now to Central America, Guatemala, Nicaragua. Activity there from the Guatemalan plate. And the Caribbean plate to the east that has created Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, a scattering of, intense scattering of 3.2 to 4. That's an ongoing activity there. Now we move eastward. There is some activity in the mid-ocean ridge leading all the way up to Iceland. And our intent there is to talk to the divas of that major eruption that's occurring there now, and will a slow natural release of the lava so it doesn't build up and explode as ash. And the huge volcano next to it that has been showing activity. Release the energy up through that volcano as etheric energy. Release the energy without releasing the physical major supervolcano activity that created the mini ice age in the European countries 300 to 400 years ago. Now we move back southward to the Mediterranean, to Greece, Krikkilos. There's a 5.2 there. This has been ongoing for some time. It would be indicative of a volcano that's trying to develop and blow there. We pull that energy off of that. Now we move eastward to the collision zone between India and the plateau of Tibet. The western edge of that has ongoing minor activity. Mainland China, some activity. 4.6 at Wenping, China. Is tuned into that general region of the western border of mainland China between China and Tibet, where there's an upthrust zone. All the way up to Nibu, China. Now we move eastward to the Hawaiian Islands. This is a difficult one to work with because that particular type of lava that comes up from under the seafloor in this hot spot. This type of activity in the Hawaiian Islands, we transmute that into an energetic release of the energy without the lava flows. And communicating with the devas there, the feeling comes that this is a natural part of the life cycles there, of the earth cycles, and this activity will continue and there's not much we can do to alter it. It's by humans making wrong choice to try to live in those regions that are prone to these flows. It's up to them to listen before they build, and they'll be warned. The nature spirits there try to warn them, but they refuse to listen. So we just send those people our unconditional love and goodwill. Now we return to our point of beginning in Southern California and go on into the central states where fracking activity is causing an increase in earthquakes focused around southern Kansas, Choctaw, Oklahoma. Every few days there's a different one pops up because as they remove so much oil and gas, it either subsides or need to adjust from the water they pump into it. Go eastward to the New Madrid, lift energy off that fault line, and on into Tennessee and the Appalachians, Hopewell, also responding to the fracking. I come back to our point of beginning. Bring your awareness now, lift your frequencies upward out of earth mind into the general group mind consciousness of humans. And we do two things here. Number one, we extend our field of consciousness through the soul center and through the psychic center to all humans on earth. And through the back of our heads, we open up the channels to the galactic flow and bring in unconditional love. Let that flow down through our hands. The right hand being positive polarity, the left hand negative. And bring your hands close together and feel the power build between your hands. As your hands begin to tingle, it actually gets to be a hot field between your hands. And we visualize that field containing every human on earth. And to every human we extend unconditional love from the galactic flow. This is to stimulate humans to rise into higher consciousness, into the self-realization that love is the natural order and the frequency energies that hold all things in form. And without love, there is no life. To all of the people who are ignorant, primitive in their consciousness, don't have understanding of the physics of metaphysics. We stimulate their brain centers that open their channels to self-realization that God is within and that we are co-creators with God. And it's through unconditional love that we can move from the third dimension reality into the fourth dimension. And as you move your hands in and out slowly back and forth, you feel the intensity of your desire going into this globe we hold between our hands that contains every human on earth. Also, we direct into the financial system and the people who are in direct responsibility for creating the new world reality of the financial system. We direct unconditional love into them so they move into dominion, the realizations of the principles of dominion. So it's a structure they create to do commerce and to manage the wealth and abundance of the world. We see them creating a new structure of finance that is beneficial to all in a lateral field of expression rather than the vertical field of control and domination that has been experienced in the past. Now extend this to the religions that block and limit the form of consciousness, the expression of consciousness in people, to hold the form of old teachings and realities. We open their consciousness to look forward into dominion and what the world is moving into in our social consciousness. We turn and look to the future We are creating the future. So visualize it the way you want it to be, and it will be in dominion. Dominion being that aspect of consciousness where all humans are responsible for all lesser beings, for all nature, all forces of consciousness. And as we care for nature and are respectful to its needs, nature will respond to us. Through the power of the Christ within us, we see nature coming into full force in abundance and clarity and cooperation with the ongoing evolving human consciousness. And so it is. Now, would any of you like to contribute? We have 4 minutes left. Perhaps Joan would like to wrap it up.
Frank, thank you very much for today's show. It was wonderful. For more information on Frank and his shows, please visit his website at www.cytronics.com. You can also tune in to Wolf Spirit Radio or Universal Mind Radio. His personal phone number, 208-344-9188. Thank you very much for today's show.
Thank you all for participating. And just notice you feel a change. Every time after we do these shows, we reach out into the consciousness and whatever we've been working with, and we feel a difference. We are having an effect. It is happening. It is inevitable as the course and nature of man that we evolve. And the realization we create our reality, that we create our future, gives us the mandate to make right choices in all things. And so we'll pass along now. We have our next show will be next Saturday at
Saturday morning at 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We also have a show Sunday evening at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We sure hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Thank you all, and feel the unconditional love pouring out your hands now. And send that to everyone you know. Thank you all, and goodbye.